Hello, welcome to Reaching Eden. This is a podcast involving the development team of Gears of Eden, an indie space adventure game that explores the world of sentient machines. So, this is a special occasion for everyone. This is podcast number 10.
Woo! Yeah, double digits.
Yeah. Double digits. So our special guests that we never have the chance to bring onto the podcast are our usual guests. No, that's terrible. So
I liked where you were going with your joke, though.
I mean, I did too, but I wasn't able to deliver it. We actually just have the normal group of people with us. So we have Sledge, our creative director. Sledge, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy Halloween.
All right.
It's Halloween.
Is this coming
now.
out on Halloween?
Around Halloween.
It should be.
What are you all dressed as?
Well, we'll answer that question in a bit. And we also have Eric, who is the lead writer for the game. Eric, how are you doing?
Hello, I am doing well. I am dressed as a Power Ranger, the red one from the first season.
Okay.
That means I was the leader at one point, but not anymore.
And rounding out the team is me, Michael, the Green Ranger, the real leader of
The Green
team.
Ranger was not the leader. He was the outcast one who was dangerous and worked with the bad guys for a while.
Who eventually
and then
turned
turned
into
into
the
one. But right now, you're the bad guy.
But obviously, I have the coolest Zord.
But
So
right now,
I'm okay
you're the
with
bad
that. I have the whistle. I have
You have a whistle?
The flute sword.
You're right, you win.
Well, we're glad you guys are here to join us. We got the usual structure set up for this podcast. We're going to be updating you on the progress of our game. We're going to share some of the inspirations that we have found this week, and then we're going to discuss the games we've played. So, strap yourselves into your chair. If you don't have a chair that has a 5-point harness, you should go buy one.
Safety first.
Exactly. So strap yourself in, as hopefully you're going to enjoy the podcast as you laugh, learn, and maybe get something out of this. Let's talk about Gears of Eden. We actually got a pretty short update for this one, but it's also very important. It is the UI design. Now, if you guys don't know what UI stands for, neither do I, oddly enough. So Sledge, can you tell us what UI stands for?
UI is the user interface. So we're talking about a lot of the in-game menus and all those little displays and heads-up indicators that help communicate what's going on in the game to you and also let you interact with the game more.
I'll be honest, I should have known what UI was, but at the moment, I was about to say it. I was like, I actually don't know how to say this.
I was gonna pick on you, but I want to linger on in case you're just trying to set up Sledge to explain it.
That's what I assumed too.
It's so brilliant.
Yeah, but so just to expand on what we're doing a little bit, we're sort of at a phase where we're going back and looking at the design of our user interfaces. We heard some feedback in the alphas that people found that they weren't the most intuitive or easy to use and weren't necessarily very clear all the time on where to find a certain function. So we're revisiting that. That's something that's been in our plan. And especially as we get into further crafting in the game and mission systems and interacting with other characters, it's very important that we have the structure of a UI that will work to handle those things. So right now we're in the process of looking at inspiration, looking at UI that has been done right, that has been successful, and working on our own designs, our own interpretations for how we want to handle it in our game.
Basically, UI design is super difficult to do right.
Well, it's the part of the game that is the most boring. It's just not as fun to look at a menu as it is to grab a rocket launcher and just go nuts with that. But it's also one of those serious backbone parts of a game. You need to understand how to interact with the game. You need to not hate staring at it because it's always there.
Well, it's literally the thing that the player is going to look at the most.
Yeah.
It needs to be almost the most solid thing out of your entire game.
Yeah, and it's almost like a UI when it's done really, really well. You don't really notice it and remember it because it's just so seamless. And so we want to get to that stage where it's good enough that people can forget about it if they want to.
Which is tough because it is pretty. Our tough. UI is right in your face.
It is so in your face.
Yeah, it's in your face. And we know that this is not going to be our final round of revisions or implementations of the UI. This is going to be an evolving process as our game evolves.
Unless we get beginner's luck and we just knock it out of the park the first time.
As your interaction in the game evolves, so will the interface that assists you with that.
Exactly.
Definitely, yeah.
Good news for you guys, we do have a lot of interaction in the future, so I do expect a lot of iterations and upgrades as we go through this.
Definitely.
I'm actually kind of excited looking at other UIs because we had this discussion earlier, but it comes down to the fact that we're a small indie team. We don't have the necessary resources to kind of like hire like a graphics team to go over and find like the most effective UI for our game, because we just don't have the money for that. But the good thing about, looking at other games and seeing what they're doing is they do have the money for that. Yeah, we can steal their designs and make it our own.
This podcast may be used against us in a court of law.
Can you really steal art? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
But can you download a car? That's the real issue.
Eventually.
We're close.
Yeah. Actually, I guess if you play like the Forza games, you can download a car. So I take back my statement.
I just picture there's like an art thief in a museum listening to our podcast right when Eric's question.
He's like, no,
comes
yeah,
up.
you totally can watch.
Totally, just walking out the door,
taking down the Mona Lisa. I got this.
Yeah, he's like, huh, what a coincidence.
Oh my god, I love these guys. It's like they know my life.
So what kind of games are you guys going to be looking at for UI? For example, obviously we're going to be looking at like space games, because that's just kind of like the aesthetic that we're looking at. But then I also want to make sure that, depending on the resource system, the crafting system that we're planning to input, we also want to look at like RPGs and other games that have like a big inventory and are able to effectively use those resources. So it's, nice and pleasant for the player.
Yeah, like definitely. When I think crafting, I think of the Star Wars Galaxies UI.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
I don't think it's really appropriate and perhaps a little outdated. I just feel like, to me, that is what crafting is.
Yeah. No, seriously. So what kind of games are you guys going to be looking at? Is there anything different?
For me, I'm interested in games that from the different genres. Definitely we want to look at space games and sci-fi games, but I'm also just looking at games that have simplicity and minimalism and their menu systems, just because I think that's something that we want to consider offering for our players, is having UI that doesn't get in the way too much.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, because I remember a lot of our early discussions for the UI was just trying to make it a little simpler, a lot more like intuitive for what the player should be doing.
Yeah.
And look, the way we have it set up right now, it brings down to like a third down the screen, and it's like it's just filled in with image, and it's a little like taxing just to look at. And I would like something that is a little more just easy, approachable, non-exhausting.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like when we first looked at at least when I looked at the first initial like UI design, like the one that we have up in the game right now, it made sense to me, because like, yeah, that's what we want. We want to have the inventory in one spot. We want to have like the parts area on the other side. And it's like, yeah, this is all the information that we need to be providing to the player.
Yeah.
But then when you start hearing it from like the alpha tester's point of view, and just like how it could be a little clunky and just like not as intuitive as you thought it was, it really makes you kind of look at it and realize that, yeah, that is a terrible design. Like, I know what it is, because, we have all these ideas, and like, once the first thing we put on there makes sense to us, we feel like our job is finished. But UI design is so much more subtle and needs so much more work in order to get to a good spot.
I think a big part of like our positivity to it when we first implemented it was that we were just happy to see UI work in our game.
That's very true.
I remember early on the game, Sledge and I would have these conversations like, oh boy, we're doing good now, but eventually we're going to start needing like UI or models. And like, we're now at the point where we can have those things and it's not like a concern. But then it was like, oh, thank God, we have this stuff in here. It actually worked out somehow. We beat the system.
Yeah. Well, so that's another thing when you look at the game development, is when you're trying to implement new parts of the game, you need to have assets. You need to have actual things that you can put into the game that takes the place of what you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
And when you're having to make the game, you don't necessarily have those assets. So that's why a lot of the times you have like placeholders.
And I had a buddy way back when who wanted to make this like cowboy MMO, and now there's a really cool one coming out, and I feel bad for him. And he was buying assets for the game because he couldn't do that, and it was like $100 for a model, like a guy who would walk around. I was like, oh my God, how are you doing this to yourself?
Man, I feel really bad for him.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's a necessary business to be able to like just have assets out in the world that you can go to if you're just like needing something in a game. but
Definitely.
it's it isn't designed to be the only way you get your art for your game.
Yeah.
Hey, but good on the like the asset designers.
Absolutely.
They're getting their sandwiches.
Now I'm just hungry and sad.
That's why we always have to
Bring it
mandate
up.
that we bring a snack for the podcast.
I have not been told to bring a snack once.
Well, maybe
Oh.
maybe one time we'll have like a sponsor or something.
I'm making English muffins now.
There you go.
We can just start mentioning snacks and see if we get a sponsor.
Boy, these Thomas English muffins are real good. It's the only brand I eat because I'm a creature of habit.
So, pay attention in the future, guys. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the UI design as we kind of go through the process. And I'm excited for what we're going to be showing you guys soon.
Yeah.
So, real quick, guys, before we head on to the next segment, we got to do our necessary evil, but it's also necessary good. It is the ad read. If you enjoy this podcast, you can leave a review on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasting needs. I hear the internet is a good place to find it. What does this do for us? Well, it helps increase our ranking, and it makes us a lot more visible for others to find us and give us a try. Be sure to do that. Kind of share the love. Let us fill other people's voids in their life, because sometimes it's a little too quiet. Maybe those birds are chirping a little too loud, and maybe a podcast can drown those noises out. So if you can, leave a comment on our website at www.gearsofeden.com to let us know what you think. Give us an idea of how we can improve our podcast and make it a better viewing experience, or not a viewing experience because that doesn't make sense. Make a better listening experience for everyone around you. We really do appreciate your support, as it allows us to continue doing fun, silly, creative outlets or content creation. I don't know. It's weird. You guys fill in the words for me. All right.
Do the outlets, guys. Help us do the outlets.
And the inlets.
Thank you. I don't want to waste up any more time, so thank you. And with that, we're gonna go back to the show. That was it for the Gears of Eden updates. We're going to be discussing our more uplifting section, inspiration. If you guys are new to the podcast, this is the point where I've asked both Sledge and Eric to give us an example of inspiration from their life. Now, this can come from either entertainment, news, the internet, really anything that does simply one thing, inspire. I hope you guys guessed that.
Oh, makes sense.
I hope so. This is to give you guys an idea of what we use to fuel our creativity. Let's get right into it. Eric, do you want to share your inspiration with us?
Oh, yes.
Oh, thank God. If you said no, I was going to be heartbroken.
I didn't. Give me a second. I thought you were on with Sledge first.
Yeah, I wanted to switch it up.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that.
I'll ask Sledge. No, I like my thing. Go.
I like the switch up.
Okay, so the switch up. My inspiration for this week is an experience I had. Over the past couple weeks, I have been working on a personal project for class, and today I had to bring that piece of writing to our workshop. I'm gonna start over. I haven't been saying any of this correctly. I was so caught off guard.
It's just one bullet difference.
Yeah, but I'm just used to you first. Do Sledge first. You can do this to me next time.
but I liked my thing.
Yeah,
fine,
but I can't do it.
All right. Sledge, would you like to share your inspiration for this week?
Oh, me? Yeah, I thought you were going to start with Eric, but...
Well, we never do that, so I don't know why you would think that.
So this week I'm turning my inspiration back to our audience, and we had some really great interaction from our last podcast where you guys probably remember Eric specifically talked about the Banner Saga game.
So good.
And so we reached out when we posted the podcast. We let the Banner Saga team know that we talk about them in the podcast, and so they actually responded back and let us know they listened to the podcast, which made us ecstatic because we don't always know if anyone's listening. So
we may be talking into the void right now.
We are always ecstatic to hear back from people, and we're always asking you guys to give us feedback and let us know what you think. And so it was good that actually a team that we look up to and that we enjoyed playing their game, they responded back and let us know they liked the podcast, and that sort of got shared, I guess, through their channel as well, because they responded back to us. And so we've gotten a lot of hits based on that post, which is really good to see, and just a great experience for us. And we just want to see more interactions with you, our listeners, and hear from you and just hear what you think. So please keep those comments coming in.
Well, I think the biggest thing I got from it was just a huge learning experience to see, like, we've talked about this on the podcast before about kind of how marketing becomes a necessary evil for video games, or just whenever you're trying to make creative content. What I learned from this is that if you're able to kind of share the love and just have like this general good outlook on stuff, and just be like having this like voracious appetite to share stuff, people are going to be paying attention to that, and they're going to enjoy that like mood you set, and they're gonna want to do the same.
Yeah, and I think some of the best advertising is when you're not just spending money and targeting groups and looking at analytics and doing all that stuff, but when you can just be part of a community and talk to other game developers and share in this interest and passion that we all have in telling the story and creating these games, then there's more than enough audience to go around. So it's really great when different game developers can just really have these conversations and support each other and cheer each other on. It's good to see.
Yeah, there's this idea among people who are like trying to get into this industry, or really any creative industry or entertainment based industry. They look at others like competition.
Yeah.
And like there's a little bit of that, like Battlefield and Call of Duty probably have some competition, but for the most part, it's all just like we're all creating in the same space, and we all benefit from each other's existence.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing people should be trying to focus on more than anything, is instead of seeing like what makes you different from anyone else, just like, what is similar about you and that person across from you. And it's great when you find like-minded people.
Yeah, very much.
So Eric, what did you take from it personally when Banner Saga replied to us?
I mean, it was just so cool. Like, their game is fantastic. The writing in the game is fantastic. And it was so surreal to hear that they actually were into it, or into the podcast we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, I almost didn't believe it at first.
That little check mark, so it really is them.
Yeah, they're verified. And we did extend an invitation for them to come on the podcast. One of the things we hope to do in the future is have other game developers come on and join us as guests on the podcast. And not sure if it'll work out with them or not, but
please teach us.
Yeah, we invite any and all to come on and share their experiences, and there's definitely a lot that we have to learn.
And it's always good to have a good, fun conversation. Now, I think you should be ready for this enough, Eric, but are you ready to share your inspiration with us?
I played Hot Shots Golf 3.
Oh my dude. It's all wrong. It's all wrong.
Oh, is that the wrong section? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my inspiration for this week was actually just with a personal experience in writing. While I'm working on Gears of Eden, I'm also a college student, and this semester I have a fiction writing workshop course where we all write short stories, we bring them in, we talk about them, what we liked, we didn't like. And today, actually, or the day of recording, was the day we did my short story, where I brought it in last class period and we all had read it. And today we were talking about it, and I was terrified for like at least 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I get very freaked out about the prospect of like hearing what people think of my stuff, because I assume it's bad because it's mine. But it was this very like amazing experience where I found out like they were really into my story.
That's awesome.
They liked how I wrote it. There were some sentences that I had to clarify certain things that while editing I wanted to move them, so I cut them out to paste them above, and then I just never put them back in the story. And like they were crucial things. It wasn't like, oh, I accidentally cut out the guy was blonde. It was like, oh, I cut out his whole emotional arc.
That little thing.
Well, the basis for his whole emotional arc.
Hey man, maybe his whole emotional arc leads up to him getting blonde hair, so you never know.
Frosted tips, actually, but you're real close.
Oh, really?
It was just a very like empowering experience to hear people like genuinely love what I had written.
That's cool.
I'll be taking that forward with me as I write the second Gears of Eden short story tomorrow.
Cool.
Woohoo! Well, I want to just say that I had the opportunity to read the story, and I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed reading, so thank you for sharing. And yeah, I thought it was...
Even with the missing sentences?
Even with some of the missing stuff. And we talked about it, I'm like, yeah, I did have some questions on that, actually. But I was really impressed, and it was a really fun read.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah, it's always good to get that like bit of ego boost that kind of helps fuel your next project.
Yeah.
And if everyone's loving him, I told Eric he could just change all the characters to robots, and it's Gears of Eden Story 3. So
there we go.
Change some of the premises. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called being efficient with your time.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I feel bad for you though whenever we do come upon like the release date for our game. How you're gonna feel at that moment?
Well, so much of this isn't just me. Most of the game is people I work with who I know are super talented and can totally do their end of it. At very least, we'll have a good game with a bad story, which is possibly par for the course. Not anymore. We're doing very good stories in the industry now. But for a while, a lot of the games I love had very bad stories.
All right. Well, I think that kind of leaves it up to me to end this section. My inspiration for this week was actually a sci-fi short film that came out like actually super recently. And when I shared it, I was like, basically, dibs on this. This is my inspiration for the podcast. You can't take it. So it is a sci-fi short film by the name of Others Will Follow. It is, man, it's hard to explain what it's exactly about. So it was a very simple film. And I really did appreciate that about sci-fi. I think some of the best things about sci-fi is the environment and just kind of looking into space and just almost looking at this void and letting all the possible meanings kind of flow into you and just like what do you take from it.
Yeah.
I can't really talk too much about it because I really do feel people should be going to the link and watching the video themselves. It is very short. It's just 9 minutes. I think you will enjoy it. I think it's a very well made film. Apparently the guy spent about 4 years making it. From the Reddit post that I found it on, apparently the guy made it on the speech that was written in case the Apollo 11 astronauts were stranded on the moon.
Yeah. And visually, I haven't watched it yet, but I scrubbed through it when you sent the link, and it looked really amazing visually. So really impressed that pretty much just one guy did everything, right?
Pretty much. I mean, like, so he like hand built the sets, he directed it, and he put together like the practical effects for the movie. And he also has like a behind the scenes video on apparently on his website too. So we'll also put that in the link down.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I'd like to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, I really look forward to watching that tonight. Like, you posted it earlier today, and I was busy, but now it's nighttime, the lights can go off, and I'm going to enjoy this.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so if you guys give it a shot, I forgot to mention it is made by a guy called Andrew Finch. If you like sci-fi, if you like, a little more of those slow-paced, like thought experiments, you'll enjoy the movie. Okay, all right, that is it for our inspiration. Hopefully you guys got a better idea of what we use to make the game, make everything that we're doing right now, and hopefully you can apply it to your own life. Our next and final segment is going to be our game section. This is to kind of give you guys an idea of our personality, to see what kind of games that we like playing, and honestly, it just kind of gives us an outlet to share our love for video games. So, Sledge, would you mind sharing your video game that you played this week?
So this week I've not had a lot of time to play games, but I did get back into Stardew Valley a little bit. So very much a game that when I'm having a busy week and I just need some time to chill and relax and play something light, Stardew Valley always fits that. And it's sort of, I think, been on my mind because I know it just came out on Switch recently. And I know they're getting very, very close to the multiplayer portion. So Eric and Michael, I fully intend that we're all going to get on Stardew Valley sometime here together in the near future and like do some fishing or some mining or something.
It's just one of those like perfect like mental medicine games.
Yeah, very much.
Where nothing is demanded of you. You can just go and like do whatever seems fun in the moment.
That's what I think is the brilliance of the game design, is where you don't feel pressured to do any one particular thing, and you don't feel like you've missed out. If you want to go spend the day mining, that's fine. If you want to like advance some of the stories, you can do that, or if you just want to go explore. And whatever you missed out on, you can just pick that up on the following day or whenever you want to circle back to it.
Did either of you ever play Harvest Moon, which Stardew Valley is based on?
No, I never did.
So I loved that game. But even the best ones in that, because there was a lot of Harvest Moon games and not all of them were great, but even the best ones never nailed that sense of just like relaxation and like freedom almost that Stardew Valley has. Where Stardew Valley doesn't want to punish you for anything at all, like other than not watering your plants. Harvest Moon is like a tough nut to crack.
Real quick question on that. Does it make you see, like, does the game make you feel guilty for not watering your plants? Like it calls you like a plant murderer or anything?
Well, no, those just die and you don't get to harvest your plants.
I thought it'd be like a funny opportunity. It's like, you plant killer, you let your pumpkins fail.
But that would be like, it would be mean. And Stardew Valley doesn't want to be mean. It just wants you to like have a nice evening. It's like a little rainy out, so you're just chilling with your Stardew Valley, maybe listening to an audiobook.
Or an interesting podcast.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about Stardew Valley on the podcast before, specifically me not getting it during the previous sale, and I still haven't gotten it, but we are getting close to the fall/winter sale, so I have been giving it some thought actually these past couple months, so I do think I will be giving Stardew Valley a try as well.
It's one of those games like you're not gonna like waste money on it. Like at very least you'll get your money's worth of just pleasantness out of it, or you'll just go way too hard into it like everyone else.
Yeah.
But you grew some crops.
Yeah, right. Well, thanks for sharing that with us, Sledge. Eric, what were you playing this week?
So, like Sledge, I haven't had a ton of time to play games this week. I've just had like so much on my plate. I've been very stressed, and I thought it'd be a nice way to just mellow out and play a game from my childhood, like when I was 6 or 7, called Hot Shots Golf 3, which was this awesome golf game for the PlayStation 2 with these fun characters. For the time, the graphics were beautiful.
Oh, wow. I actually do remember that game.
Oh, wasn't it good?
It was something.
It is probably the best golf game.
I have to admit, I'm not much of a golf game aficionado, so I will have to take your word for it.
I've only played it and the Tiger Woods one for the GameCube.
Oh, yeah.
It just wasn't as fun as Hot Shots.
I think I remember playing it on the Wii. I think the Wii had a golf game on it.
That seems rough. It's like actually golfing. I don't want to actually golf. I want to play a golf game.
Too close to the real thing.
Yeah.
Rejected.
So wait, I have to swing the stick? Why can't I just time it out right? No, it's been a very nice experience. So just like going back with the nostalgia, and it's like, it's golf, so you can't be like crazy during it. You have to like be chill and focus. It's nice.
But yeah, I can definitely see golf being more of a relaxed, calm game as you play it. So why in particular did you pick Hot Shots Golf 3?
So I picked the third one because that's the one that I played. But the reason I went back to this game is they just released like the new one of the franchise, which is actually called Everybody's Golf in Japan, and now that's what they're bringing to America. And they released that on PlayStation 4. And I watched just like a gameplay video of it, and I was like, oh, this game was good. I should go back and play the other one.
Oh, really?
It was easier to dust off my PlayStation 2 than spend $60 on a new game.
Yeah.
Hey, man, can't put a price on childhood memories.
Exactly.
It's priceless.
I am not at all a fan of golf, but I do like playing golf games, so I'm with you on that.
I will say I think it is very interesting how different golf games can be from the real life counterpart, because you're right, like compared to even like the Wii version, which is a little closer to realistic, like you have to actually swing the golf, like you have to like tilt it just right.
Yeah.
And like when people aren't trained for that, like like their hands are gonna mess them up more than anything, just because they don't have the training to keep it still, and their body doesn't do exactly what they want. But with the video game, you're able to like, you know, adjust like the joystick or whatever controls you have to get like that right angle that you want to hit the golf ball with, and it becomes more a game of like math and angles than anything else.
Yeah. And like people give golf a hard time because it's not like very fun to watch, but the amount of skill that goes into that game and like the strength that is required for it is very impressive.
Yeah.
Very cool. Hopefully the PS4 version is as big a success.
Oh, well, let's hope it's bigger because there's a reason it's just now getting to that one. They made 3, then 4, and then they never made another one until now.
We're going to end this podcast on the highest note possible. My video game that I played this week, it is Fortnite Battle Royale. Now, we talked about Fortnite previously. It was one of the games that Sledge played.
That's
but
right.
The Battle Royale version is pretty much in the name. It is the Battle Royale version using the Fortnite game engine. Now, I think some people may have heard about it when PlayerUnknown Battleground was in the talks about bringing a lawsuit or something against Fortnite. I don't know if they actually ever did, but that was what the huge hubbub around it was for a while. And I gotta say, I honestly think Fortnite probably does a better version of Battle Royale, for me at least.
Really?
Yeah, because PlayerUnknown Battleground, they do a very like realistic, kind of like Arma, like simulator version of it, and it's a very fun game. It's very smooth controls in some areas. They have been known to require work on their game.
It's not finished, so it has that excuse.
Exactly. While Fortnite, on the other hand, definitely has more of that quirky, fun, kind of like balls to the wall, like control to it, and I really do enjoy that. Like, there's a reason why some of my favorite games are like Portal and
I don't know, Gears of Eden.
Well, like people making PlayerUnknown are fantastic, of course, but Epic Games who make Fortnite are such like a mainstay of PC gaming. They've been around since mid-90s, which is like early gaming, and they just keep doing a really good job with everything they make.
Yeah. So the big pluses I find for the game are like, one, same good controls. The things that differentiates it from PlayerUnknown is the fact that you're able to build all these different like obstacles so you're able to build like stairs so you can get like a vantage point on any of the enemy players, or you're able to build walls so you're able, like, if you're stuck in the middle of the field and you see enemies like try to shoot you, you can build a wall in front of you, and then you got protection. So, it also adds like that strategic element to it. But I also like just like the general mood of the game. Like, you're able to use rocket launchers, you're able to use all these different weapons. It just becomes like a super like cool game that you just like have fun with. Like, you just like, I can definitely see a lot more moments of, someone trying to do something really ridiculous, it being epic if it actually works and they actually kill the guy, or just being like hilarious if they utterly fail.
See, I actually like that, because for me, I'm not really into PlayerUnknown's Battleground, because it's just like there's not enough there to engage me as someone who doesn't want to like just shoot people. And I like that at least with this, I have something like visually engaged.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think they had a really good model when they decided to offer it for free.
Yeah.
I think they gave it for free to people, and so they would give it a shot, and just Epic Games had trust in their game that it was fun, and like, oh, this is great, let me go buy the actual game. Because I actually had a friend who I introduced the Battle Royale version. He got addicted to it, and then when I went back to his house the next day, he already had the full, like, the actual version that he paid for. I was like, I'm blaming you. I got addicted to this game, and this is super fun. Like, all right, great.
Yeah, it's like I am consistently impressed with like how Epic is able to do their thing. Like, they also have the most widely used engine, I think. Like, isn't the Unreal Engine like the biggest one?
Probably.
It's just amazing they can do that much and like not really drop the ball anywhere.
Yeah.
So have you been able to give it a try, Sledge? Because I know you originally played the actual Fortnite.
No, thanks for reminding me. I'll definitely check it out. I played just the standard game, but I haven't done the Battle Royale.
That's awesome. All right. That is going to be it, guys. I know you are crying and just sobbing and having to wipe your tears. So we appreciate you guys listening to our 10th annual podcast. That actually doesn't work because annual is a yearly thing, but
God, we're old. It just seems like just last week we were recording podcast number 9.
So thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate you spending a little bit of your day to spend your time with us. Definitely crazy lunatics.
About you. Oh,
About you. I
How
like
you
that.
doing?
Yeah, how's it going? So, if you have any questions or comments, maybe particularly about the sexual harassment that Eric just gave,
I mean, I'm flirting.
we'd love to hear from you and what you think of the podcast. You can contact us and find out more about Gears of Eden at www.gearsofeden.com or on Twitter or Facebook. If you are interested in finding out more about anything we've discussed today, you can find the links in the blog entry for this podcast on our website. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with our newest edition of Reaching Eden. It's going to be 1-1.
That's 11.
Yeah, exactly. It's one higher than 10. So get ready for that, guys.
Oh.
All right. Thank you, Sledge, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Hey, thank you.
Oh, thanks. Until then, we are the Gears of Eden development team, and we're reaching Eden. We hope you join us.